Hello, welcome to another special Sudoku solve video. Today I'm gonna go through the Hall of Illusions, I think. And to be honest, I have looked at it before. I tried recording it, but I don't think that is very reasonable. One quick correction is this could be 00, because that can be 88. So that is just one correction I should have made before, which does make that able to be a 1. I think I removed that before, but I see that it's there now. Yeah, well, okay. So the Hall of Illusions, everything within these borders is wrong. So that is not necessarily true. That is not true. That is not true. And that is definitely not true. And, well, yeah. So, for example, this thermometer has to increase going to the bulb. So that's either a 1 or a 2, and it cannot be a 2, so it's a 1. And that gets us started in the puzzle. Okay, so these dark squares are, well, normally they're minimums, right? But in this case they're maximums because they're the reverse. Wrong and dark cells must be greater than all orthogonally adjacent non-dark cells, yes. Okay. So, well, and these books just basically mean that these cannot be 4. And imagine if that's a 4, then that cannot be a 1. Well, if they're greater than squares, they couldn't be 1 anyway. But none of these can be 4. But I think the point is that none of these can be 9. None of these can be 9 because there's no number greater than 9. So one of those is 9. And this 3 sees 3 numbers. And if that's not 9, we have a problem because it bumps into the 9 too quickly. So that must be a 9. Right, and I said none of these can be 1 because there's no number smaller than 1, so we know that that has to be a 1. Now that just cannot be a 4, I guess. What are these numbers? These are 4, 5, 6, and 7. Well, okay, so that cannot be a 7 and that cannot be a 4, I guess. That it is something. I am planning to do the boss puzzle as well, if I remember. I did this a bit ago, so if I don't remember, I'm sorry. It was tough to figure out though. Okay, so if we still have to place 2 because 2 has to only can be next to a 1 because the only number smaller than a 2 is a 1. So if that's a 2, that has to be a 1 and that breaks. So none of these can be 1s. Now if this is 1, then those 2 must be 1 and that breaks this. If this is 2, those 2 must be 1 and then the whisper is correct. So that must not be possible. If that is 2, we have the same problem as this corner, so that must be a 2. And this must be double 1. Now we unlock a bunch more of the puzzle. So, okay, what can this be? Because it has to be close to a 9. It cannot be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So it's 5, 6, 7, or 8. And this has to be bigger than that, so that's 6, 7, 8, or 9. It is not 9 because then this arrow is correct. So that's 6, 7, or 8. It's not 7. Okay. Oh, actually, which numbers can be 5? These cannot be 5 because of this 5. Those 2 cannot be 5 because then it would index itself and it would be correct. And it must not be correct, so one of those is 5. Now, next to a 1, what can go next to a 1 on a whisper? It is 2, 3, 4, or 5. Oh, on a wrong whisper, actually. It is not 3, I guess. If it's... No, that's right. That's fine. That could be a 2. What can be next to a 9? It is 5, 6, 7, or 8. And it's not 8 in this box, so it's 5, 6, or 7. If that is an 8, that breaks. So that's a 5, 6, or a 7. Hmm. One, one, so it puts 1 in one of those. But if a 1 is in the bulb, we have a problem. Because then any digit is bigger than a 1, so that's not true. One of those is a 1. Interesting, okay. This. Well, this could be a 3, I guess, and that could be a 2. So that can be a lot of stuff. Eight has to be somewhere in this row. So 8 is in one of those. Oh, that 2 makes that not be able to be a 2. So one of those is a 2 as well. Well, this 2 makes that not be able to be a 2. Ah, I remember this. If this is in the 4, right? 4 is in one of those. Well, because of this 4, that's not a 4. So 4 is in one of those two. But whichever number you put it in, it will be with a 2 or an 8. And that makes the black dot work. And it must not work. So this is a 5. So that is a 6, 7, or an 8. Or possibly a 9. Those then aren't 5s. Oh, of course. I explained it, but then I filled it in wrong. So that's a 4. So now, none of these can be a 4 because then they correctly index themselves. So one of those is a 4. Oh, and again, what can be next to a 1? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not 1 because the 1. And it's not 5, so that's a 2, 3, or 4. This 4 and that 4 makes that able to be a 4. So one of those is a 4. Oh, well, this cannot be a 1, right? So 1, 1, this 1. So, and that cannot be a 1 because then this would automatically be bigger. So that's the 1. And that's the 4, and that breaks that. So that makes this a 1, 4 pair. Oh, which is actually resolved. Okay. So that's a 4, that's a 1. The minimum for this cell is now a 5, so that cannot be a 5. So that is a 5. And that's a 4. So that's not a 4. Something smaller than a 4, which is not a 1 or a 2. So it's a 3. So that's the 2. So the smallest this digit can be is 6. So 6, 7, 8, or 9. Not 9, because then it's always bigger than this. So this is 7, 8, or 9. Let's see. So this 6 now makes one of those a 6. Oh, one of those is 6. So one of those is a 6. 9, if that's a 9, then this is automatically smaller, and that's wrong. So one of those is a 9. I still need to place a 3 somewhere. So where's the 3 going to go? It's either there, which would make both of those 2, because the 1 is occupied in both of those. But that does seem possible. Or it's a 3 with a 2. Or it's a 3 with a 2. 3, 2. If that's a 2, then that's a 1, but that does seem fine, I think. So let's see, okay. What can this be? It can be 2, 3, 4, not 5, 6, or 7, or then 8 or 9, not 9. if that is 8, then that is 9. And then that would have to be 6. What? And that breaks. That breaks this cell. If that is 8, that's 9, that has to be a 6, and it breaks that cell. So that's not an 8. But that, okay, that doesn't do too much. This is now bigger than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6, 7, 8, or 9. It's not 7. So this is also 7, 8, or 9. So if that is 9, then that has to be 6, right? Yes, it does. And that is 8, and that is 6. But that does seem to work. So I kind of want that to be 9, I think. I think that would make my life a lot easier. If this is 8 and that is 9, sort of obvious, I know, but still wanted to name it. This can still be a lot of stuff, right? It's just smaller than 7. It's not 6, it's not 5, so it's 2, 3, or 4. That's not a lot. Not 2, it's 3 or 4. So what can this... I don't know, this can be quite a bit. This is not 5, so it's also 6, 7, 8, or 9. Then we have one more high digit and one more low digit to play. So 3 in either of those, then a high digit. If that is 6, that's 8 or 9. Interesting, okay. Either one of those is also 5, 6, or 7, but you don't know which is which. This digit could still be a 2. One of those is a 1, I guess. Because in this column, that cannot be a 1, so one of those is a 1. Which does make this 2 possible. Well, okay, so 3 cannot be there, so it's in one of those. So that's not a 3. Also, we kind of knew that 3 is in one of those, but that's okay. 3 goes with a 2. Make that a 4. But like I said, I've looked at this before. This is not like I'm seeing this for the first time, but it's still not easy. It's still very much not easy. I also already did the boss because I've just been noticing that oh, well, actually there's 2 places that 2 there. Yeah. No, these puzzles are getting, well, not, I wouldn't say exponentially harder, but very, very quickly they're getting harder. One of those 2, if that's a 2, that has to be a 1, so that's not a 2. And I've like I am now, I'm just getting stuck, well, much more often, and I think that's okay, right? Like to some extent, because you have to show your thinking and your ideas. But I have just, when I tried to record this the first time, I think I was in 70 minutes, and I didn't even have what I have now. So I don't know. I just prefer doing it this way. And doing the logic and then reverting like this through the logic makes me understand it a lot better. Which, you know, is ultimately the goal of what I'm trying to do. I just want to become better at this. And I think this is helping, trying to explain the logic. But with that said, you know, it's still not easy. If that's a 3, that's a 2, and that doesn't work because then the bulb works. So that's a 3, that is a 2, and that's then another 7, 8, or 9, or 6. Sorry. Oh, not a 6 because of this. Yeah. So this is then 5, 6, 7, or 8. So that's that. So that's a 2, 3 pair. So what is this? It is not. It could be 2. I don't like that it can be 2. So if that's a 7, that is an 8. And then both of these would have to be 9, so that's not true. So one of those is 7. Oh, well, in this box, one of those two is 7, so that's not a 7, I guess. Where does 2 go in this row? It goes in one of those two. Right, okay. I have not found anything. That's just an exclamation of, okay, I am looking at this. That cannot be 7, 8, or 9, but it has to be bigger than a 2, than a 5, so it is 6. What can this be? Wait, let's just go through the options. This can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 and 6 is not possible because that will be bigger. And 1, 2, and 4 is not possible, so that's a 3. Yeah. If that cannot be an 8, because that's a 2, and that would make the whisper work. What else? What can this be? Couldn't be 8. Oh, it could be 8, because that has to be bigger. Okay, so what did I say? 2, 4, and not 5, not 6, 7 or 8. If that is 8, oh, then this has to be smaller than it. Okay. If that is 8, that is a 6. That's a 6. That is an 8. They are different digits. Yeah, okay, that's... I know that's inherently what the arrow does, but... You know... Pronouncing it maybe helps. What is this? I think this is just a 4, which will make that a 2. Ah, that's it. Okay, 2, 4. Is that it? That's not it. That can just not be a 7. Oh, you couldn't be a 7 anyway. So that's an 8. We know that that's the 9. We know that those two are 9s then. That makes that a 6. Makes that an 8. 7. A 6. That reveals the boss puzzle. Is there anything else I can do? I think there is. 6. 7. Well, that's now not a 6, I guess. No, I think it's boss fight time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, it is boss fight time. Okay. Let me fill in the boss and I'll continue there. Clap, clap, clap. Well done, brave adventurer. Most who enter the Hall of Illusions find only madness. A lithe man in a tuxedo steps out from behind one of the false thermometers. You demand that he lets you pass. I'm sorry, none may enter the temple without my express permission, and you don't have it. Ha! He pulls a lever you hadn't noticed, and suddenly all the clues disappear. A giant image of a skull appears on a large portion of the floor beneath you. You feel weak. What is this sorcery? It's some kind of negative constraint. Oh, okay. Sudoku, place the digits from 1 to 9 in each cell without repeating in a row, column, or 3x3 box. Your special abilities have been disabled. Anti-crop key. Orthogonally adjacent digits may not be in a 2-to-1 ratio. In addition, orthogonally adjacent digits may not differ by 5 or more if the digit is in a gray cell. Oh, this is a skull. Ah, okay. Makes sense. I did not see that when I did the puzzle before. Okay. I did the puzzle as uploaded on Logic Masters Germany because I won't be able to do this otherwise. And the negative constraint was probably one of the more annoying things I've had to deal with. I am not good at that scanning. Not at all. I don't think it is meant for me. I am more of a positive constraint type of guy. They cannot differ by more than 5, so we've trained that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this case. While these aren't 2. They aren't 4 because that would be in a 1-to-2 ratio, and they're not 1. So that has the same property. This does as well, 3, 5, and 6. So that's a 3, 5, 6 triple. So where does 1 go in this box? It doesn't go there, so it goes in one of those. If the 1 is there, or maybe better, if the 1 is there, what is the partners 1 could go with? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's 5 different digits, of which 4 are taken. So it has only one more partner, so the 1 has to go there, and it has to be with its last partner, which is the 4. This 3 says nothing, I don't think. This 1, I mean. So what's the rest of our digits? It's 7, 8, and 9. 4 cannot be next to a 9 or an 8, so we know that that's a 7. So what does anything say now? 3 is always next to 8 or 9, so that doesn't work. 3 does not work there, so that's a 3. 1 cannot be next to a 6, so we know that that's the 5, which makes sense because 5 can be next to the most amount of digits, so it makes sense that that's in the middle. This can be 2, 3, or 4, not 2, or not 4, so that's a 3. What can be next to a 3? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, not 8. So it's not 6 because of the double rule, not 2 because of this 4, not 3 because of itself. 4 is down there as well. And the 1 is already seen. So that's a 5 or a 6. 5 or a 7, I mean. Wow, okay. Now none of these can be 9, none of these can be 9, so one of those is 9. So we know that one of these two is 9. It cannot be this one because of this 4. So that's a 9. Neither of those can be 9, so we know that one of those is a 9. Because of this 3. Yeah, because of that 3. Let's see. Next to the 6. What can go next to a 6? It is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. It's not 8 or 9 because of the 9 8, 9 pair. Not 3 because of the 6, 3. Not a 4 because there's already a 4. Not a 6 because of itself. 2, 5, or 7. And I think that's it. What can be next to an 8? Because what can be next to an 8 can also be next to a 9. So 8. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So not 8 or 9 because of the pair. Not 6 because of the 6. Not 7 because that will be next to a 1. Not 4 because 4 cannot be next to 8 or 9. So that's a 5. So that's not a 5. Okay. That cannot be a 5 because of this. I could have seen that before. So what now? 2 cannot be here, cannot be there. So 2 is in one of those. It's not next to the 4. Well, okay, so what can be next to an 8? I said, oh, no, that's not relevant, I don't think. Well, it is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But that can be a lot of stuff still, so I'm not going to keep that pencil mark. 5, no. No, that's not it. Okay. What can be next to a 3? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, that. Not 6, not 2, not 4. But the rest seems to work. Not 3, obviously. Let's see here. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not 8. Not 7. Not 6. Not 2. Not 4. Not 3 itself. If that is 1, what is this? Because, right, if that's 1 and we have this as options, it's not 5, it's not 4, it's not 3, it couldn't be 2, and it couldn't be 1. So that's not 1, that's a 5. Can we do that trick again? If that is 1, no, that could be a 4. And if that's a 7, there could be a lot of stuff, okay. Well, we know if that's a 1, that's a 4. If that's a 7, then it can be not 3. Could be 4. Couldn't be 5, couldn't be 6, couldn't be 7. Could be 8, could be 9. So that's somewhat limited, I think. Right, okay. Still. Well, okay, so what is the options here? It is not 3, because 3 can be next to both. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So not 7, not 4, not 5. Yeah, 6, 8, or 9. Okay. So it is just good scanning, I think. This puzzle, which I wish that was me. 8 cannot go there, so 8 isn't one of those. One is in one of those. If that's a 6, we know that that's not a 1. But that's not how I do things. These cells can be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Both not 9, both not 8. So 5, 6, or 7. Yes. Okay. That seems fine. That cannot be an 8, but those or those could. So that's not relevant. 3, one of those is a 3. 5, 5, so one of those is a 5. Right, okay. At this point, it's getting a bit harder. So where am I looking? What can this be? That can be a lot of stuff. It just couldn't be a 9, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not 2, not 8. Oh, not 8. Not 4 itself. Not 3 nor 5. Wow, okay. Things are a lot more restricted than you expect them to be. Especially for, I guess, because it has so many. So let's check this one, right? Like that. I'm just spinning around my keyboard. I hope I hit every number. So not 1, 2, 3, 4. Not 8. Not 5. 6 or 7. Right. So that couldn't be a 1. It's something. 6 or 7. That's not a lot of room. You know, I did not expect that, to be honest. That's much more limited than I thought it would be. But yeah, okay, that's just the general vibe of the puzzle. Let's see. There just must be more. I'm also thinking about school. I'm noticing, so that's not the time. It's not the time for that. I have lab reports that are due. I mean, in 2-3 days, and I've worked on them quite a bit, but I'm not happy where the product is yet. So it requires a bit more attention, more than I expected it would. So that's, that's always tough. Sure, let's check this. Not 1. 6, 7, 8, 9. Not 6, 2, 3. No, that's too much. That just couldn't be a 1, I guess, because of this. But anything else goes. Oh, well, if that's now a 3, right, that couldn't be a 6, an 8, or a 9. So that doesn't work. So that's a 3. Interesting. That's stuff I do not expect. I mean, it makes sense because I think that's part of the logic. If that's a 2, that's not a 7. If that's a 2, that's a 6. Okay, there has to be a 2 in this column. That has to be up there. But I don't think that is anything. 9 could be there, could be there. If it's there, then this is 3 or 4. Wait, no, not 3 or 4. If this is 9, and this is 6, 7, or 8. Yes, that's how that works. No, that can be a lot of stuff. Well, those is 9, but sure. That could have been... Where then? Where's the next step? If that's a 7, then that's a 1. That's a 1, that's a 4. That's a 6. Where does a problem lie? None of those can be 2. I've got that marked. 3 in any of those? Well, then that just couldn't be 8 or 9 or 6. So if that's a 9, that's a 7. Well, that couldn't be a 4, right? Because if that's a 4, it's always... Oh no, but then those don't have to both... Those are not both in gray... Neither of those are in gray square, so that doesn't work. Okay. What can be next to 8 or 9? I think I already did this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it's just not 5. Well, not 4 because we've looked at that before. If that's 4, then that can be 8 or 9. So 6, 7, 8, or 9. Yeah. And that, well, okay, so what can be next to that, right? It is this, but not 3 or 5. But it could be 2. Yeah, it could be 2 with a 6. No, I don't like that then. I do like this. This is interesting. Next to a 3. Not 9, not 6, not 1, nor 5. Like I said, not... 4 does work because it's irrelevant for the 9s. Yeah. No, that's... Is that too much to keep? I don't know. I'll just keep it for now and we'll see. Right, what was the next step? Next to 2, you can have this. If that is 2, that doesn't say anything about that. But if that's 2, then that cannot be this. So then you only have these options. If that is 7, I'm going to label that up here. If that is 7, you can have this as options, so not 9. Well, not 7 because it's itself. If that's 7, that's 5. So not 5 either. Not 4 because of this. That's 7. Well, that's just only this. That's also not a lot of options, okay? Even though it is a pencil mark off a pencil mark. Okay. 5. That's 6 or 7. If there is no 5 there, then this is a 6-7 pair. Well, that could never be 3. Okay. I don't know if what I'm doing is relevant. I'm just placing pencil marks at this point. Okay. This is incredibly tough. This is incredibly tough. Okay, if that is a 6-7 pair, then it cannot be 8, 9, could be 5. Couldn't be 2, couldn't be 3, could be 4. Yeah, it could be 4. Don't like that. Okay. Maybe other stuff then. This, if this is, what can be next to a 2? It is those digits, not a 7. It's those digits. It's not 6 of those. It's not 5. It's not 1, obviously not 2, and not 4. That's only a 3. If that's a 2, that's a 3. So if that's a 2, that's a 6. That is something. If that's a 2, that's a 2, that's a 6. So, oh, but I think I had 3, 6, and 8 in the other option as well. If that's a 7, what can that be? So let's move the 3 up here for a second. If that is 7, it can be those digits. Well, obviously not 8 or 9, or 7, or 6, or 5. Could be 4. Well, that's only 2 options, though. Yeah, so, that's only 2 options. So is it worth doing the rest of those then? No, because the 5 can have anything. Yeah, the 5 can have anything. What can the 7 have? It is those digits. And of those, you cannot have 3, 4, or 6. And 5 can have anything, so that doesn't work. That could never be a 6, right? If that's a 6, that's a 3. If that's a 3, that's a 6. That doesn't work, so that's not 3 or 6. So if that is 3, then obviously that's 3. If that is 6, then one of those is 6, but that doesn't quite do what I wanted to do. What am I missing in those squares? It is 2, 3, 4, and 7. Well, that cannot be a 2. If that's 2, then that's 3. So then that's 4 or 7. You know, 4, 7 pairs, that's 7. Then that's 3 or 4, making that a 2. So wait, so that's 2, that was 3. If that's 2, then that was 3. So then that's 4 or 7. If that's 7, and that's 3 or 4, then creates a 3. So then that's a 2. So if that's a 2, that's a 3, 4, or 7. So that couldn't be a 3 ever, right? Am I saying that correctly? Yes. If that's a 3, then that's a 4, then that's a 7. And you have a 3, 4, 7. That doesn't work. Okay. If that's a 4, it has a 2 next to it, so that doesn't work. So that's a 3. Okay. Okay. Sure, man. That's a 6, so that's not a 1. So that's a 1. That is a 9. I truly hope that that's correct. If that's not, I don't know. It surprises me what works in this puzzle. It feels like you get so little information, and yet it does do stuff, right? It has an effect. What am I actually missing in this column? Because I'm missing 4, I can see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 and 8. 4, 8. But that, okay. I need to keep in mind that that doesn't do anything. So that is 3, 9, 4 and 8. Yeah, 3, 9, 4 and 8. Then 4. Oh, 4, 8, 9. Oh, that's the wrong pencil mark. 4, 8, 9. Okay. Oh, if that's a 1, that's not a 2. So we know that that's the 2. So we know that this is, well, not 8. Right, okay. So what am I'm missing quite a bit still in this box. It is 4, 7, 8, and 9. Well, it's not, this is not 4, I guess. 1, 2, 3, not 4, could be 5. Oh, I'm missing the 5. I misplaced the 9 because that's not 9. 4 or 8, and then 3 or 9 is down here. Yes, okay. 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 8 is whatever is missing in this box. And this is just 5, 7, or 8. Any clashes with the double thing? No. Okay. Yeah, no. Neither is here because that ends up being a 4 or an 8. So I've got more stuff, but I don't feel like it does too much. None of those are 1, so one of those is 1. Bad pencil mark, I think. 3, 3. One of those is a 3. I don't like that either. If that's a 3, that's not an 8. That kind of stuff makes me wonder if my pencil marks are even correct. Which I truly hope they are. No, I must admit, I think they are. I think what I'm doing is correct. But, you know, I don't know. It just feels like you're constantly missing something because whatever you find seems so obvious. And I don't know. That sort of, it triggers something. So I need a 2 as well. One of those could be a 2. Easily, or one of those, and then that's a 2. Right, okay. Well, that's not a 6. Because of this. that's a 3. Oh no, that can be a bunch of stuff still. Right, if none of those are a 1, then that's a 1. That doesn't say anything, okay. I need, yeah, no. I was going to say that couldn't be a 2 but because of that, but that's not right because these are not in a whisper relationship. If that's a 2, that just couldn't be a 4. If that's a 4, that's a 4. But that's sort of obvious, isn't it? Hmm. 2 could never go there because of this 2. Oh no. No. What I was about to say something, but that's incorrect. Well, it is true to say that one of those is 8, right? Yes. So 8, 8, so one of those is 8. My head. It feels like I'm staring at this for such a long time, but I think that's the point. I think that is the point. The man is trying to, really trying to drive you mad. If that's a 3, that couldn't be a 6, but that's, you know, thanks for the obvious answer. That could be a 1. Because that couldn't be right, so... It doesn't have much value. Oh well, if that's a 1, then that's a 1. And that couldn't be a 1. So in fact, in this row, one of those 2 is a 1. So that's a 7. And that's another digit. That's another digit. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, man. So that's not a 7. But still, then you get something, and what does it do? Maybe more than I realize. Well, no, neither of those can be a 2, because that will create a 1-2 pair. So one of those is a 2. Because if that's a 2, then that forces that to be a 1 and vice versa. So one of those is a 2, so we know that that's a 2. So we know that that's not an 8 or a 9, we know that that's a 6 now. Then this is 1, 8, or 9. Well, I can still keep the 1 there. If that's a 4, it forces that to be a 9, forces that to be a 1. Oh, well, if that's a 4, that's a 2, so that doesn't work, so that's the 2. So that's now not a 4, that's not a 1, so we know that that's a 1. So we have an 8-9 pair. And this is, what am I missing? 1, 2, 3. Oh, so 4 and 6. 7, 8, 9, and then 4 in one of those. So that's 9. That is 8. That is 9. That is 8. So that's not 8. So we can fill in these, I think. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 7, 9. That's a 9. That's not a 4. If that's a 4, that's a 7. If that's a 7, that's a 9. Okay. Oh, well, next to this 2, there cannot be a 4. So we know that that's a 4. That's the double scanning. Okay. So this is 1, 5, and 8. So the 1 cannot be there. Oh, interesting. If that's a 3, that's a 5. If that's a 5, then that's just a 5. So one of those is a 5. Sadly, that doesn't feel too relevant. But that is true. Six, 6. So we know that one of those is 6. Okay. I had to do something. Right. It was labeling this, and then that couldn't be an 8 because of the 4. So we know that one of those is a 5. I have a lot more stuff here now. If that's a 6, 7 pair, right? My question is, can I do without a 5 being in this triple? If that's a 6, 7 pair, what can that be? So not 1, not 2, so not 3 or 4. I'm looking at the hypothesis there is no 5. So if that's a 6, 7 pair, then that's obviously not 6, 7, 8, or 9. So then there's always a 5 in here. Yeah, there is always a 5 in here. It isn't possible because, right, if this is a 6, 7 pair, let's look at all the digits. It's not 8 or 9 because of the box. It's not 3 or 4 because of down here. It is not a 1 because of this 1. Then one of those is a 7, so that's not a 2. It is a 6, 7 pair, so that's not that. And then it has to be a 5. So if that's a 6, 7 pair, that's a 5. Or there's a 5 in here. So that's a 3, that's a 5, that's a 1, that's an 8. And that's now an 8. Right, okay, so one of those is a 1. 4 is in one of those two. What can that be? Let's see, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, not 8. Not 6, because it's next to a 3, not a 3 itself. Well, that's actually quite a lot of stuff. Why can that then be so much? And then the other stuff is just falls flat. I don't know. 4. Well, one of those is a 4. So if that's a 2, that's a 4. So that's a problem. Well, if any of those is a 2, so that has to be a 2. So that cannot be 7s. So that's a 5, 6 pair. Right, yes. Okay. That is something. Now there is no more clashes. Okay. 3 in this row has to be in one of those two. So it cannot be next to the 8. If that's a 3, then there's always an 8 next to it. So that doesn't work. So that's a 3. That can then not be an 8. So that is an 8. And that's a 3 in the corner. Okay. So next to a 3 there can be these digits. It cannot be 1 or 2, not 3, not 6. The rest I don't see. Well, okay, what am I missing in this row? It's 4, 5, 6, or 7. That cannot be a 4 because it's next to an 8, so that's a 5 or a 7. That couldn't be a 6. That's a 4, 5, 7, so that's the only place 6 can go. So that's now a 5, so that's not a 5. It's a 4, 7 pair, so that's now a 5. So one of those is a 5. So I'm missing 1, 4, and 7. Well, that's not a 4. And this is, again, oh, so this is the only place 5 can go in the row. And that's then 1 or 7. So that's not a 5. If that's a 4, that is an 8. So that's not an 8. That is not a 4. That's 7, 1, and 4. So that's now a 7. Do I know more about this digit? I don't think I do. What am I missing? 1 and 6, obviously. And then 2. So that's not a 2. So that's the 2. That's then not a 1. So that's a 6 and a 1. So one of those is a, one of those is a 1. 2, one of those is a 2. 3, one of those is a 3. 4, one of those is a 4. So that's a 1, 3, 4. I could do that by a row logic, I guess, which probably would be better. I mean by column logic. Let's see. What am I missing? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. This is 5, obviously. 7 or 8. Okay. I don't know. I truly do not see that. That's now a 6. So that's not a 3. Well, none of those are 8. We know that that's a 7 now. Well, we know that that's not a 6. We know that that's not a 4 because of this 8. Just take little bites and what is it? You'll be saturated? Something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This 7 and 9 is resolved with a 7 and a 9. So we know these as well. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Something has to be in between the 1 and the 2. And it has to be that 8. Oh. Well, that now cannot be a 1 because of the 6 above it. So 1, 1, 1. So 9 with an 8, a 2, a 6, and a 2. 6s. Places a 6 there. 2s. I've got all the 2s, of course. What am I missing here? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, which I can place with 9 and 7, which makes that an 8, which makes neither of those an 8. Oh, that is placeable, 7 and 5. That cannot be a 3 because of the 6, so that's a 4 with a 3. So that's a 3, that's a 4, That's a 9. Now I'm missing 4, 5, 4, 5, and 3. With the last of your strength, you pull back a lever and disengage the negative constraint field, gasping with relief. Good thing that guy left after delivering his monologue, or he could have easily stopped you. You follow after him, knowing that the next trap you walk into could be your last, but sensing that the end of your journey is approaching. Enter 7 into this boss puzzle. That just clears the rest. Okay, so that means that we can probably finish the puzzle. Which, let's see, which I am going to do next time. I am going to pull in some bits though. 3, 4. Thank you for watching this. I don't know. I don't think that boss puzzle was really for me. I have trouble with the scanning, and well, maybe you could say that then it is for me because it is something I have to not have to, which something I can improve in. But then again, you know, do what you want to do. It doesn't really matter. I don't understand why this arrow is here. I don't think I ever used it. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. Oh well. Yeah, no, I don't think I ever used it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day, and yeah, thank you. It's great that you enjoy Sudokuvania and Sudoku in general, and that's cool. Thank you.